Good morning, everybody. It is the Coach and Cruise podcast for June 6th, 2026, 9 a.m., a little after 9 a.m. on the West Coast. I'm here with Cruiser this morning. Cruz, talk to me. How's it going?
We have now entered what I call my favorite 2 months of the year. Screw Christmas. School got out Thursday. Um, Traffic from Thursday on was immensely lighter. Obviously, we have graduations and stuff like that, but it tends to lighten up for the whole summer. I mean, it's there still is traffic because we still have people that work every day, but the traffic is much better. I'm talking like for me, round trip wise, maybe like 35 minutes total, like 20 minutes each way better. I'm not coaching sports. Logan's out of school and he still has hoops. And that's every other weekend, and we're off this weekend. So he wants to play golf, and he wants to play golf every day. And so it makes me smile a lot. We've talked about it last couple of weeks. So we're playing tomorrow, and then I'm playing with my buddies on Monday, and then I'm playing again Tuesday with his my oldest stepson, and then Gabby's gonna play with us we're gonna play a little twilight round on Tuesday. So that's the kind of stuff that makes a parent smile. My days are sort of filled with, if he wants to go to the golf course, it only costs him $5. So anytime he's gonna say yes, I want to go play, no matter how bad my back feels on the third day, and I can just go out there and knock it around. I don't have to take it super seriously. So it's a really good. These 2 months are filled with us going on we have a bunch of trips coming up, starting at the end of June. But the most important thing is school is out, and I'm sort of a normal human where I can just wake myself up in the morning, get myself ready, shave, shower, grab a cup of coffee out the door, and then off to work I go. So it's a fun couple months for me.
There you go. I hear that. So on today's show, I want to recap a little bit of what we talked about last week with some high school baseball playoff stuff, and the NCAA tweaking the rules. I want to clarify that. I was trying to read up on a lot of that this morning. They're changing the rule, the 19-year-old thing, and anyway, we'll recap that in a second. I want to talk about a lot of angles towards playoffs in the spring, or winning sections, as you mentioned before we came on the pod, winning the section versus winning NorCal. But the fact that high school seasons across all sports are way too long, in my opinion. But we'll talk about the length of seasons and should they stay the same or shorten up. Sideline interviews. I don't watch the NBA that much, and really all sports, but are they even worth a grain of salt when you watch these people come on and interview the coach for like 2 seconds? And does that add value to what you're watching or not? We're going to talk a little bit about the World Cup. I know I could care less about soccer, so we'll see how that weighs in on that, because the World Cup starts this week. And that's D-Day, right? So D-Day, 1944, storming the beach. I want to get your take on Cruz. If kids today, you think could 17, 18-year-old kids could get called into action as those boys did back in 1944. So maybe mix in a little Giants too, just where they are currently, because it seems like their bats catch fire, but they still can't pitch. And who knows what we'll talk about them, and maybe some other stuff depending on what we got. Jam-packed hour this week, but I want to start by recapping the Ganesha high school team that had a coach and some players go to Mississippi to do like a pro combine kind of thing, and they ended up going, the players and the coach and the team has so many players, good players on it, ended up playing the section title game and winning the game, which in a way doesn't surprise me because I'm sounded like they were loaded with dudes. But in a twist, after the section game, which they won. They opted out of the NorCal or SoCal,
Something, yeah.
the regional playoffs uh, that continue on after you win your section. And so we'll get more into that in a second. But I thought that was interesting that they decided to not keep going. They just could have played one more game. Um, and then the NCAA is tweaking. I feel like there's so much talk about this NCAA rule that they're going to vote on it. I think they're going to vote yes, and then figure out the lawsuits or whatever stuff that are going to come. They need some kind of change. But again, I was reading up that basically the rule says that your clock starts the season after you turn 19. So I was trying to see if that did affect the people that try and reclass, and it does, because you're, even if you turn like 19, some kids are turning 19 like in a week, because June 15th in California is the mark for 19. So if you turn 19 in a week, your clock starts on in college still. I was, there was a little bit of language I wasn't paying it, it was kind of difficult for me to understand, but I looked it up this morning. So yeah, if you play your senior year in high school as a 19-year-old, your clock starts. And so it's a little different. Like if you turn 19 after, let's use football, if you turn 19 in January, let's say, your clock won't start until you start in college. So it still, to me, does discourage you from possibly, if you want an extra year in college, to not reclassify. I think that's part of this whole thing, is just try and slow that down a little bit. But as with anything, I feel like people are going to find ways around stuff. So what do you think about the baseball team down south, you know, opting out?
Yeah. Well, I think it's very strange. We talked about it last week, why they would do that. I don't see why, going into this thing, that the scheduling of it all would even become a thing. I know that our stuff, and I've been around the travel baseball stuff forever, and all of our coaches that coach at the facility and do our team coaching stuff, they all coach high school baseball. And they, a bunch of them came in last week, and I asked them about it. Like, I have my feelings, but I like to get people's feelings without telling them my feelings. Although I think it's pretty simple how I feel. And my buddy who owns the company, Adam Vardaressen, who I hope, I talked to him a little bit last week. Tons of knowledge, been coaching forever, played independent ball and college ball, and would like to have him on as a guest sometime. He's got a wealth of knowledge in the baseball arena, and he knows that particular coach, and claims that he's a pretty good guy, baseball knowledgeable, respectable in the travel ball world. But he's just like, me being a high school coach and been coaching high school baseball now for, I think he's been like 13 years. He's like, it's not a thing for me, because the high school season is the season that you're in. He's like, I own my company, and I would never put my kids in that spot. A lot of things that you said last week about, trying to stay reputable, and what you're telling these kids when the season starts, and commitment and all this stuff, and then going to it, and then winning your section, and then opting out of your Southern California stuff. I just think sends a really sour message to, if you have up and coming really good freshmen and sophomores that maybe weren't on the varsity team, and or guys that were on the varsity team for the years upcoming. I just don't feel like it should be allowed. If you win your section, you should go try to prove yourself to be the best team in Southern California. I wish we had time, and the time is a big deal. I wish we had time to do a state championship. I think that'd be really cool. A lot of the other sports do it. We don't. We didn't even have, like I said last week, we didn't even have a NorCal playoff 25 years ago when we were all involved in it. So I just think this is an easy one. I think that people that think the other way are weirdos. I don't see a way in a world where you can tell, eighth graders going to be freshmen coming into your program, freshmen going to be sophomores, and sophomores maybe that were on your varsity team, or guys that are on the JV team moving forward, that this might be an opportunity and an option at the end of a baseball season. I just don't see it.
Well, that kind of bleeds into our first topic. I as a two sport coach, I coach football and baseball this year. I've done it not too many times in the past, so it's been a while since I've coached two sports in high school. I think it's rare. I don't know many people that are coaching two sports now. I'm not the head coach of either. I am a head JV baseball coach, so I guess that's a head coach. But as far as running varsity programs, that's obviously way different when you're dealing with the whole program, but still giving up a lot of time. Plus, being a varsity football coach, i'm in it I'm in that until we end. So in California there's state playoffs and etc. And this year we went to our section championship, which actually was in December. And still, if we won that, we would have had 2 more weeks minimum, maybe 3, I forget. um Same thing with baseball. So as a JV manager, it's kind of nice being on the JV because your season ends when your last game is played. There's no playoffs. Your goal is to win like a league championship, which is cool if you do, but it's not like the varsity. So the varsity kept going this year, and in fact we played in a semifinal. Uh, Basically, the point I'm getting to is both seasons were super long. So going into December with football, and then we started baseball in January. So I only had a little bit of time off, if you want to call it that. And then baseball, I helped the varsity out as they went long. But what's funny is high school baseball is still being played, and our season ended 2+ weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And
Mhm.
so my question, and I think there's a lot to this, when you talk about what the Ganesha team did, I think that's a little bit different than some of these teams opting out. I think there's so many different reasons to opt out, and one of them is the fact that your season's so long. And I know St. Mary's, who knocked us out 3 weeks ago, like the week they knocked us out was the last week of school for their seniors. So they're potentially playing like 3 weeks of high school baseball outside of being in high school. Not that I'm not
Mhm.
arguing that. I don't care about that. It's just what it is. But it's like, man, if you want to have a summer, you want to act like a kid and do kid type things. I mean, your season's still going. Like potentially now they lost a couple days ago, so they're done, but there's still a few more games left. And then if you're going to add the state champion, you talk about it. I think it is a time thing, going back to what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Well,
So,
yeah,
I,
especially because the teams in the South Bay versus like where you guys are at, not only do your school schedules not match up, but the season schedules. I feel bad for St. Mary's. I don't know if you. I think they had like a 7-0 lead going into the sixth, and they blew it late. A buddy of mine was telling me about it. But that's not really fair to them. You got a team that just finished their section championship last week, and they're going right into NorCal's, and then you got them who had to wait 3 weeks, deal with all the graduation stuff. You can say whatever you want, having time off. I'm a big not time off guy. I'm not saying they got time off, but I'm talking about game time off. You take 3 weeks off of game speed stuff against competition. You could try to dummy it up and scrimmage as much as you want, but those kids are at a major deficit versus our kids, like a Valley Christian or Midi and St. Francis, and these teams that just finished. They legitimately won their section championships last Saturday, a week ago today, last Saturday night, and then they start their NorCal stuff Tuesday. You're going to tell me that they don't have the upper hand to a team that played 3 weeks ago? They play their section championship on Saturday. They roll right into Sunday's a normal Sunday off. You practice on Monday, game Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and you're starting to see. I don't know when De La Salle finished their season in
it was
NCS. They
like
might be a little.
yesterday or the day before.
Well, I'm saying when they finished their like their
Oh, finished
their
season.
their
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
section, yeah, their section. So Valley Christian's in a weird spot. That my friends all coach there. and they have had a lot of success, and we've talked about the reasons why we think they do. And I talked to my friend Adam Vardaresian, who we just talked about, and in the middle of the year, I check up with him, monthly. He's like, "This is the worst team we've had in 10 years on paper." And now they won the Division 1. They won second place in their league. They went to CCS Division 1, and they won because they can pitch and play catch. They won Division 1 CCS, and now they find themselves in the finals of Division 1 NorCals. And it's the first time that if they win them both, that they've ever done it with maybe not their most talented team. But I think it's a big deal to talk about the length. Number one, the length of scheduling and the timing of the scheduling. How they can't semi match them up. I know that the Catholic schools for us graduate like 2 weeks before the public schools do. We just had our graduation in Hollister yesterday. But it's really strange how much variance there is in the scheduling and this is all California. This is all Northern California. So you're talking about teams that are only like, an hour to 2 hours away from us. So I think it's really strange.
Well, I think that they're just, you're talking about the timing of baseball games. I feel like I just saw, I think it was on Max Preps, but I was not quite sure what I saw. This graphic that showed like when people start football, just starting like officially. And I think Hawaii starts like the first week of August, and then had like a different colored chart. I wish I could have found it. I'd be putting it on the screen. But you're talking about football that's supposed to be a fall sport starting in early August, which is summer. Okay. And they push, you talk about time, the state associations, especially California, push everything up, if you want to call it that, or back, however you want to word it, starting earlier. So like 6 teams, 8 teams, the Mater Days and Boscos of the world are going to end up playing in, the week before Christmas. So everybody's got to suffer and start with 150-degree temperatures outside, just because those same teams are going to end up playing at the end of December. And so, what are we doing with just the season being too long? I know the answer, right? The section and the state, they all see the dollar signs. More games, more money, whatever. But, don't tell me, there's so many layers to this, right? Don't tell me you're all about like safety and, we take all these classes as coaches, heat stroke and this and that. And, yeah, we're all about safety and concussion protocol, yet, we're going to start you when it's 1,000,000 degrees in the summer and then extend your season like the NFL, right? They're all about safety. Now they're adding more games, they're adding more travel. It's like these kids are super young and they're playing potentially 16 games in high school. What happened to the 10-game season? I mean, we used to play our scrimmage, I don't know, 20 years ago. The scrimmage ended after Labor Day, not to mention school starting later. And then you'd play 10 games, and in our section, you'd have 4, like when you played, you had 4 playoff games. I'm talking football, and your season would be over. And everybody, if you went late for that, put your basketball and your other winter sports behind. You were a little bit behind, but now those start like early November. So your 2-sport football, basketball kid is close to not getting any basketball reps until league starts for basketball. Like, what are we doing? I mean, so you're same
it
thing
was the
with
same for
hoops, right? You
yeah,
blend
same
into
thing. I
the
was a hoop baseball. That's what I was going to tell you. Like I was a hoop baseball guy. Probably the worst 2 sports. I mean, if it's either football, basketball, that might be the worst. But then obviously the next would be basketball, baseball. Um, Baseball being my primary sport, but I was a good, I was a 3-year varsity starter on basketball too. So, and I liked basketball as well. I remember we went to the CCS semifinals. We lost to Woodside. It was my junior year. It was the year you coached me. I missed I missed like 4 or 5 regular season non-league games that, we only play 20. What do we play? 24 or 27 games? I think it's 27. So that's the problem. I mean, I don't mind I guess I don't understand. You understand the money stuff more than me, but what's wrong with just playing 10 games and having them not overlap so much for
Well,
the kids? Because we always talk about wanting kids to play multi-sport. I'm big a multi-sport guy because I did it myself, and I think it's doable, and I think it's good for you, and I think it gives you more opportunities. I think it keeps you out of trouble. All the things that being a multi-sport athlete, I think, are all positive things. But when the scheduling becomes this long and becomes such an issue, it really becomes an issue that just carries on from sport to sport, especially if you talk about the three main sports: football to basketball and basketball to baseball. And then the baseball season now, we're talking, like you said, like, our Catholic schools, they graduated 3 weeks ago, and now they're playing today, which is June the 6th, when some people are waiting to go on vacation. And because, like, my son, for example, his last day of school was the 4th, and we start school August 6th. So we get like 30, they get like 33 days or 60, sorry, 63 days off, and they're right back at it. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know the answer, but something's got to give, right?
well, we talk about, I know in football up in these parts, they're talking about having the playoffs for your section be like the top 8 teams. So they're getting rid of like the 1 through 16. So the 16 doesn't play the one, and it's 90-0 at halftime. So what they're doing is the 9 through 16 teams, they're going to, I don't know if this is going to happen. It might. I have to look this up. I probably should have done that. They're going to have like a 1 game bowl game, okay, for the 9 through 16. So you make the playoffs, you play 9. I don't know how they'll do it. Let's say 9
Hmm.
plays 16,
Whatever. Yeah.
okay, and you go at it. I think actually what they're going to do is take the 9 through 16 and then figure out travel distancey kind of stuff and play that game. But heck, I want to be the 9th team as a coach.
Yeah.
I want to be the 9th seed. You know why? Because yeah, the playoffs are cool. Whatever, you go as far as you can go within reason, right? But if you're playing like a bowl game, think about like if you're San Diego State and you're playing, BYU in the Holiday Bowl, right? It's not the Orange Bowl or the Rose Bowl or whatever the monster ones are. But man, that's pretty important to be at the bowl game. And I guarantee you all those bowl winners of years past in those games are like super stoked that they won the Holiday Bowl in 1994 or what, you know what I'm saying? Like they're Holiday Bowl champions. So you
Yeah.
take a high school kid that finishes the 10 regular season games and goes plays a bowl game. If you get the right sponsorship, you could make like this whole bowl game like be a huge deal. Maybe even hand out rings or make it a
Yeah.
big deal, right? And then your season ends, and everybody is thrilled to go do the next thing. Everybody, coaches, players, parents, whatever, because like I said, we feel like there's only so many teams that get to play in the state championship game because of transfer rules and these reclassifying and all this other stuff. I don't see us ever going past the sections. Maybe win a section and playing a NorCal game. Maybe, I don't know, depending on what goes on. We're pretty good, but we're not like that. And you're going literally from, we started football last week, so early June to the week before Christmas potentially. Okay, and if you're a 3-sport athlete, you're doing that. You're going from June, early June to middle of June
Late
potentially.
late June. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're that to me, like you talk about, there's so many factors with that as far as like keeping your grades up and a kid being a kid and resting. Like I think parents, I think adults want like there's so many, like I said, layers to this. You want to keep your young person active, but I mean, I was a firm believer of like, hey, we're not doing anything on Sundays. Heck, we might not do anything on Saturdays either, even through high school. And I don't know how many times we were, hey, come and play, do this. Hey, we're doing this. Hey, we're doing that. It's like, hey, we're doing nothing. And I'm
Mhm.
deciding as the parent, even though my kids are teenagers and can decide for themselves, I'm like, no, you're not going. Why not? Because you're resting. Because you don't do
Mhm.
enough of nothing at that age. Like
Mhm.
you're asked to do so much. And so besides that part, the wear and tear on kids, it's like I think that the adults, they want to make that money. They want to extend the seasons. I'm not really like you might know a little bit more about the basketball, but I do know that the basketball goes super long. And if you're waiting for some athletes to help join your team in the spring, it's just brutal. And then compound it with what you're talking about. Like nobody's schedule can get the same. And this baseball thing, it's super weird at the end with like us up here in Sacramento. The section title was 2 weeks ago. Like you said, they waited a full week to play the NorCal games. We did up from this part of the state. And then, like you said, I think it's a disadvantage, but whatever, doesn't matter. Still got to play. But then,
Yeah, for the for the
school.
baseball for the
Yeah, go
baseball
ahead.
stuff around here, it's crazy. Especially, it makes me kind of sad because we didn't have NorCals when I played, and we talked about that. Around here, I don't understand why. If you win your section, you want to do NorCal stuff, that's fine. But if you're in Division 1 CCS, as long as you get to the semifinal game,
Right.
so for you make NorCals. Why?
Yeah,
Why
that's
can't you
another.
just take
That's not the case here.
why can't you just take the fucking winner, right?
Yep.
I would be content because I don't think it's that big of a deal to for Valley Christian today, for example, playing Elk Grove. I'm sure they're both really. I know they're really good teams. That's fine. But two things that really bother me. Number one is when you play your section, it's a really big deal. For us, we get to play at Muni, which is called Excite Ballpark now, right? You're playing at a neutral. I think as a high school athlete, to play at like a Santa Clara University shot stadium, which is fucking legit. They do some of the CCS stuff at West Valley College. It's got a complete remodel, like a $5 million remodel. And then you got San Jose Muni. I'm always going to call it that. That meant something to us.
Oh
And that's why
yeah.
I brought it up to you. Well, now, number one, so if I essentially could have got fourth place in Division 1 CCS, I automatically go to NorCal. Well, what happens if I win NorCal as the 4 seed of my section? That's why I was bringing it up to you is the section. I think the section's almost more important in a way because I think it's really cool that you played a neutral site. Now, for example, Valley Christian's playing Elk Grove, and they're playing the game at Elk Grove High School. Like, what is that
Yeah.
really that important to go? I'm nothing against playing at high school fields, but like as a high school athlete, like
Well,
when you play I'm sure you guys play at neutral sites for football stuff too. When you get to like NorCal's and state stuff, right? You don't play at high school fields, do you? I mean, I don't know.
the section title was at Sac City College this year. So,
Yeah, which is
but
good. I mean, I've been there. I've been there. It's a step up from playing at a high school, is what I'm saying.
right. Well, I think that the thing that you're talking about is kids are also kids, right? So you want to play at those bigger places. Here's the
Oh
other
yeah.
thing. Strangely enough, kids want the season to end.
Oh yeah.
That's tough
Yeah.
to, you know what I mean? Like they see all their buddies going to the lake and the river and Tahoe and Hawaii and I granted when you're in it, you're in it and you want to win it and all that stuff. But man, there's you're peaking, that vacay is right around the corner. And so my point by saying that is agreeing with you that the section title, you like there, you win that. You know what? If we lose in the NorCals,
So
hey, I'm
what?
off to vacation.
Hmm.
We did what we need to do. We won the section. Like I don't think it's I think the winner, if you won the whole thing, here's the other thing. That's cool if you won like NorCal because there's no state thing yet, potentially, right? But you're what about the 5 teams that opted out of NorCal?
Hmm.
Are you the best team?
That's what
You
I'm
you
saying.
won the NorCal, but you didn't play the 5 other teams that could have waxed your ass.
Here's what I say. Like for us, I don't understand why. Because so we have ours is Central Coast section. The NCS is North Coast section. That's like the De La Salles and all them. If you're the Division 1 winner from CCS, which was Valley Christian this year, why can't you just play one game against De La Salle and call it a day?
Yep, that's what I'm talking
Play
about.
play it at a neutral
Play a
site.
three
Why
game
can't the
series.
well,
That'd be
exactly go
great.
for it? And play it at a cool place to play. Play it at a Santa Clara University, or play it at a nice ass JC, and all the
Yep.
Sacramento area teams like get the two best from them and play a 3 game series at Sac City or at Sac State or somewhere like big and do a 3 game series, and then put a wrap on it, because then nobody really knows at the end of this. Because like I said, what happens if you got fourth in section Division 1 CCS, and then you go win NorCals? Are you the best team in Northern California? Well, no, you didn't
But
win your
think about it.
section.
Think about too. Like I know I'm being back in the thick of it for the first time in a while. I know at our place the way they do the rankings and all that other stuff in baseball is like you can't afford, and I don't know, they don't tell you how the rankings go and whatnot and why and all that other stuff, but like you can't play like a Division 4 team as a D1 team.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts your strength of schedule. So when you talk about playing the best teams, heck, our schedule at Granite Bay is loaded. Like the preseason, we're playing the Franklin of Elk Groves, we're playing the De La Salles,
Mm-hmm.
and we're playing teams that are comparable,
To you.
and the teams that are making it really far at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
season, all over the place, because you even if you lose to them, playing them, and they win their league or whatever, you have a better chance of being higher up. So I totally agree with you. I think a better angle of what you're saying might be like the Valley Christian plays a St. Mary's or somebody from our area. I don't think they'd mind that travel again at a better stadium than a high school field, and do like a 3 game series or whatever. And then, like you said, I'm totally down. You win the section, you literally go off of some ranking and go and literally ask everybody, okay, who do you want to play?
Mm-hmm.
And then call it a whatever and get like a bowl game, like
Could
the
yeah? Could
World
you
Series.
could you imagine, like in the baseball world, say St. Mary's and Stockton, right? You guys have Banner Island Ballpark where the Ports play. You're telling me that you wouldn't have a draw of a 3 game series of Valley Christian going to play St. Mary's of Stockton
Right.
at the Stockton Ports Field? You could have all your families go out there and stay the night. Hopefully not in Stockton, but like somewhere in a surrounding area. Uh,
Shout out
uh,
Stockton.
yeah, maybe keep it moving to Lodi or something.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like I think that's a cooler draw than going like today. Valley Christians, they won their section. Congratulations to them, and good luck today. Let's wake up at 10 a.m. and drive 2.5 hours and go play Elk Grove at their fucking high school field.
Yep.
Like when you're in your
How do you
section,
decide that too?
I
Like
don't I don't
that's
know.
what I
Like
mean.
yeah, and then but you by the
Because
way,
it could have
last
been the
Saturday
other
night
way.
yeah. By the way, last Saturday night you guys played at San Jose Muni, which is a really cool ballpark. I mean, you've been there a million times. It's a great place to go watch a high school baseball game where you've been watching the San Jose Giants your whole life as a kid around here in this area. I played the inaugural season at Banner Island. I was in Bakersfield, and we obviously played there quite a bit. It's a cool ass stadium. So you're telling me like high school kids, and you got the water in the back, like go play a 3 game series and go decide who's the best from the Sacramento area and the best from the Bay Area. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
And
really strange. It's too many
even if
games.
it's not like declaring like after that you want more, we could have beat those other guys. No, yeah, maybe.
Hmm.
But you won your little 3 game deal, or you won your section, whatever, and you move on. You have your summer, you go to your travel ball. You don't run into any of that stuff that we talked
Yeah,
about
and
last week.
another really cool thing too is like in a 3 game series, like when you guys faces St. Mary's, a high school kid may have a dude or two.
Yep.
Well, in a one game series, especially baseball, that one dude, we talked about it 2 weeks ago, that could be the difference. So now you're better than me because you have one guy that's going to Mississippi
Yep.
State and throws 95s and then get drafted in the first 3 rounds. Well, play a 3 game series and let's see who beats who. And that's what I
Yep.
think is better, especially at the high school level. We talk about players dominating sports, pitchers in high school. You get a guy that's on the mound, it's just a dude. Like
Yep.
you play a one game, you line it up right, you play one game, you're probably gonna win that game.
Well, we could talk about this one. Like I said, this one took a while because the layers on it. There's so many different angles to go with it. But I want to move on to. I was barely watching. Amy told me she didn't want to care about the basketball after OKC lost, but here where the finals are on TV, and I want to chill out and relax because I don't get to do that very often. So I kind of just sit there and sort of watch without really. I'm constantly calling fouls that aren't called by the refs, which is just what I do because whatever. But anyway, I just, you get to the point where like they come back from a break, and during the break there's some person talking to the coach after the timeout, obviously not during gameplay, it's pre-recorded or whatever, and that shit is worthless, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking that even the reports on the NFL sideline, are they purposely hiring good-looking females to stand there just so we could show a good-looking female talk for 30 seconds and say absolutely like stuff you should already know? I talked to coach so-and-so, and he said that they need to run the ball more to be more effective. And it's like, no shit. I'm watching the game and they need to run the ball more. Like they're telling me things.
Well, yeah, the idea is, and the football ones are really bad. Just walking out of the locker room with Coach Mike Vrabel at the Super Bowl, and he's going to tell me exactly what he's planning on doing to win this game in the second half. They're not divulging a fucking thing. They're not telling you. It's the
like
most generic shit you've ever heard in your life. It's a joke. It's
the best
stupid.
is when they're running down the coach like at halftime.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Half the time that the coaches like forgot that the interview has to happen, and then their faces are like, shit, I gotta do this. And then the questions are like, what, your passing game was really good. How do you keep that going? Well, we just keep throwing and we keep catching the ball. Like, okay.
hopefully we block them.
Yeah. And defense is, so-and-so's had a great, half against you guys. We got to stop. Our linebackers got to fill the hole. Like they, like whatever comes out of their mouth is whatever comes. They're not thinking of that. They're thinking about the real adjustments they need to make. And then they're running, and the person taking the interview is like, thanks, coach. And it's like, did we have to, like,
no,
somewhere as TV games went along, like somebody thought that was a good idea, right? I mean, they still do them. Like there must be some benefit. Like some fans are going, hey, please give me more coaches talking after the second, intermission or whatever. And I'm like, I'm also the person, I can't stand the pregame shows and the postgame stuff. It's
no. I was just going to bring that up. Can you imagine, like they usually have like a reporter type person, usually a good looking woman also, which is fine. And then you have like Sergio Romo and Rich Aurelia who do it for the Giants. Can you imagine those guys who've actually played for a long period of time watching the Giants be so bad this year and having to talk about it for 30 fucking minutes after the game? I can't listen to one word of it. Like, no. I can't. Like, I won't. I won't.
You watch it until you bring a good point. Let's say they get walked off, because you see that happen in hockey, whatever, you lose in overtime or whatever. It works both ways. And in that thing, the local stuff immediately comes on, which I think is cool in a way, but it's like, like those people are also fans. Like you're gut punched, and you're because your team just took a bad L, and now you got to sit there and try and like how
Yeah.
many times do you want to go fucking we fucking suck today?
Oh,
Oh my
yeah. What
god, why the
one
hell are
time?
we pitching that guy late? And yet you got to
What?
be like, oh, the Giants lost today
Yeah,
in
one game
extras.
I messed up because I'm usually really good at, like, as soon as I know it's over, I just switch it to something else. And for some reason, I must have got sidetracked. We were playing in Arizona, and we got our dicks knocked off the first couple games, or it was the first two games. And I think Cattell Marte, who
Yeah,
absolutely kills us all the time. Don't know why we can't get him out. Great player, but he walks us off, right? And they're running around the bases, and they go right. There's no post game because they would have been one if we won, but we didn't win.
yeah.
And they go right to the post game show on Comcast Sports Bay Area, and they're like, obviously not the way the Giants wanted to finish this one. I'm like, what? What? Like, are
Did
you?
you ever? It kind of went viral ish. The Dwayne Kuiper call. Marte hits on that particular game. Just hits that just a bomb, right? Especially
Mhm.
that game was pretty much over.
Yeah, it was over.
You know, they walk guy like they made it just because it was a
No,
fast ending.
we were up three.
Yeah,
We're up three. We get an out. The guy hits a base hit. He gets the second to make the second out. Now we got a man on second, up three, and then like 12 pitches. No, in the middle of this, by the way.
yeah,
Now we have two outs in the ninth. We bring another guy in, a lefty,
yeah,
to face a switch hitter, and then they get the winning run up to the plate, and he throws a really bad pitch, and then he throw. I was telling Logan. Logan doesn't even know what I'm saying. I'm
yeah.
like, whatever you do, don't throw it low and in. That's the only place he can. That's the only place you're going to get the game. And he throws a slider that's like right in his swing path, and it hits an absolute monster bomb to walk us off. I'm like,
Well,
well,
and that's where you hear the crack of the bat, you hear the crowd go crazy, and Marte's like going around first base, and Kuiper's like unbelievable. That was the
believable.
call,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's why it's great.
that'll wrap things up. We'll see you tomorrow at the
Yeah,
12:05 start here on.
but that's the great part about a call like that's how you feel, and you don't need to keep talking. That's my point. Like
Mhm.
you're saying they go right to the post game. And those people in the studio, in the Bay Area or whatever, are just like, oh my god, we got to recap that. Like, and then you talk about the starting pitcher. You did well, you did that, and then all of a sudden, all that
Oh
stuff at
yeah,
the
yeah,
end,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
you're like,
yeah. Yeah,
I don't
especially
know.
because
I
you know the outcome. So why I don't need to know that Robbie Ray went six in the third, punched out nine, and put us in a perfect position to win the game. I watched it. You know what I mean? Like, fuck.
I think
Ugh.
the only time, obviously, as a fan of any team, if your team wins that game and you bring Marte in and he's like one of your favorite players or whatever, and you hear him talk about it or whatever, that's fun. I've done that. Yeah, I've watched I don't sometimes you can't get to like Curry, Steph and whoever, that takes a little bit of time for them to get to the microphone or whatever. But I sometimes I've liked when they hit a walk off and they immediately put the headset on the guy and they're
Oh
dumping
yeah,
the
the guy's
beer.
like out of breath, and the shit's getting all poured all over him.
That to me, like,
That's a good interview because that's like an
yeah,
impromptu, spur of the moment, not staged, like
I think
real
they did.
life
I think they need
situation.
to go right up to the guy who gives the walk off home run.
How do you? Yeah.
Just hey, you don't get to have it both ways, Comcast. You got to go up to the guy who just gave the walk off like grand slam and go, "How you feeling, buddy?" And just
Kudos to
have him
the
go, "Fuck."
kudos to the San Diego Padres. There's a player. He's been on an All Star team 4 or 5 times. Nick Castellanos used to play on the Phillies. Was like
Right.
kind of a late pickup with the Padres, and he's hitting like I didn't realize because I don't follow. I mean, I follow, but I don't follow like that until I hear one of these interviews and I go back and look up their statistics for the year. I follow the Padres what they're doing, but I don't follow them like day to day. And he's sitting in front of his locker room with like 17 cameras around him, right? And they're like talking about his struggles. yada yada yada. And he's like totally standing up for himself. He's like, it's just a slow patch in the road, blah blah. Saying all the right things, but you could tell he's very pissed off. And they get done with the interview, and they're like they're shoving the remember. So the next day happens, and I go to work, and I'm turning the TVs on. Nick Castellanos DFA'd. He got released the very next day. He's hitting 191. So he knew the writing on the wall, essentially. Obviously, these guys have an idea of what's going on. And they knew what was going on, sort of, right? And so I sort of felt bad. I remember back in the day, you'll remember this. Warren Sapp, excellent player. He used to throw a big dip in his mouth post game. And if you ever notice, maybe we can bring this up on a later podcast. When you do like the locker interview, like post game, where they're all the same type of deal, the guys seem to be way far back, and I never understood it. And I'm like, wow, it seems like because the other ones are like they're close, like your mic is to your face, right? They're getting your mics right up in your face. Well, he used to put like you go to your local hotel and they have the white towels. Not the full size ones, but like the middle size towel.
Right.
And he would put that in front of his locker with his big dip in his mouth, and he would spit on his towel to keep and I didn't know this, but I saw this on a podcast. He would keep a towel in front of him and spit on it, so that way the reporters couldn't keep everyone back. Like, how fucking genius is that, dude?
Well, that's another thing. When you brought up towels, like it used to be that immediately after the game, reporters
guys in their towel.
No, they had instant access to the locker room. So, and we're talking females too.
Yeah,
you walk through the locker room and guys are swinging their wieners around like it was nothing. And they fairly recently they just put like a 30-minute or some kind of timing deal, and that's why you notice like all these interviews are out in front of the dugout and stuff, because then
they don't have access
in front of the mic. They're all showered up.
I
mean, you never see the microphone at the locker thing too much, unless it's way after and the guy maybe hasn't showered. He's just sitting there feeling sorry for himself, like Castellanos or whatever. But you can't immediately go in there because of obvious reasons. They were getting, and how many shots? I'm sure there's tons of footage of guys walking naked out of the shower, and they didn't mean to do it, but it's like in the background,
daily routine. Yeah.
Hey, so moving on, we'll come back, maybe talk a little bit about the Giants, but soccer World Cup. Do you care? Do you sort of care? Do you not care at all? Where are you?
Well, I don't really care. But I sort of have to care because I work in the industry I work in.
It's going to be on all your TVs.
And so I went through the first, I don't even know the first round. It's a 4-team, whatever.
Right.
They don't call it, the second round is called a knockout stage. Yeah. So you got to win your pool. It's like pool play. There you go. Pool play.
Yeah.
And so I immediately go to USA schedule and Mexico schedule. And I'm like, where am I going to get, because I work during the day. And these games start at noon. They start at noon. And like, where in the next fucking 6 weeks, well, the first 2 weeks, especially, where am I going to be fucked here?
Yeah.
And I look, and next Thursday, and we have like, so Modelo comes in, and the World Cup's a big deal for
the signage and
everywhere. We have like so much, and it's really cool stuff. If I cared about soccer a lot more, that'd be really cool to me too. But like, and so at the place, I work at 2 places owned by the same guy. One is just a bar, and one is a restaurant bar, Stony Peas, where you went, right by the Shark Tank. And so but we sub out our kitchen to a Mexican restaurant. And these people are on Wednesday, they're making our bar look all cool, and they have neons and all sorts of shit, right? And I immediately go, fuck. Okay, when the World Cup starts, June 11th. June 11th next Thursday, right? Or Friday, whatever the fuck it is. I think it's Thursday.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. And Mexico plays on Thursday at noon. And my work is planned. This is fucked. I hope this falls through. We're going to have mariachis at my work for this game.
Yep.
and we have like indoor outdoor seating with like a really cool garage door slide up window. And I am, dude, it's going to be the worst three. Because then if they win,
But is it the
people are going to,
best? Is it the best worst? Meaning worst
I
like
mean,
crowd, but best for your pocket?
best for my pocket for sure, but most annoying. You know what I mean? Like consistent, like buckets of beer every 3 minutes, which isn't hard to serve. But like I'm in a space now that I've been doing this for 20 years, and I have like regulars that come and bring me lunch and talk about sports and baseball. uh, they're going to be annoyed because it's going to be really loud, and it's
Right.
just constant. The
Right.
soccer shit, and you can't play. I'm a big jukebox guy, like tons of different music. I love to command the jukebox. I don't like the bar to be silent. And
Right.
we're going to have to go like sound on for the FIFA game,
Yeah.
for the
Yep.
Mexico game. And I'm going to be losing it, dude. I already know. I have to prepare myself very early, maybe have like an extra cup of coffee or like a big monster before, because I'm gonna
Yeah.
need it. I'm gonna need it, and it starts next week, and it goes for 6 weeks, and
So I
you know
have
that.
this my soccer experience, especially with World Cup. I mean, there's been some, especially in '94 when, because it is in America again. It's '94. It was in the U.S. too, and that was cool back down the Bay
Mhm.
because they had like Brazil and some other big time teams local that were playing. The teams that are local are like
Oh, it's so
Kazakhstan
bad.
and like,
Oh, it is so bad.
and so
And they're at Levi.
besides,
They're at Levi. They're at Levi's too. That's the
yeah,
worst part. And they're going for like
and,
$500 a seat, dude.
well, and my thing with being around it, I'll give you, especially the Brazilians at the time in '94 were staying in like they were training in like Los Gatos.
Mhm.
That was pretty dope. Like you had
Hell
like the
yeah.
best team in the world, like right down the street from you. So you kind of became like, in a way, like part of their group. You're rooting for the U.S., but also you had your,
Hell yeah. Yeah, or
but
like what happens if like Portugal or if Ronaldo was practicing at
right.
fucking Los Gatos or
Yes.
Messi, that would be
Yes.
cool.
That's
You
what
got me.
that stuff to me is cool, though I don't pay attention to
Me
it
either.
really at all.
Mhm.
I Since then obviously there's that disconnect. But I tell you what, I'll turn on a game here and then, especially being in the summer where I'm off and have time. And if I'm turning the TV on at pretty much any time, a game should be on. And when I turn it on, it's like this weird wanting to like it stage of like staring at the screen for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, and the ball gets passed forward, back, side, forward, back, back, back to the same guy, back, forward, running, ball out of bounds, throw it in, back, forward, like shoot the damn ball.
Mhm.
Nope. Goalie's got it. Head it back to the goalie. He holds it. He points. He yells at everybody. He yells at his own teammates. Yells to very demonstrative. Goalies dressed in like way different colors. Throws the ball out. Kicks the ball. Those guys punt the ball like a million yards,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it's like I turn it off. I'm like,
Mm.
that sucked. And when I turn it on, it's nothing to nothing. And, I don't know. There's just not enough. I think hockey years ago had an issue. Games are always like 1-0, 2-1, believe it or not. They made some radical changes a long time ago that I didn't realize. I don't know exactly what they were specifically, but I know one of them was behind the goalie. The boards were really close to the goal. I don't know the exact distance, but that made it hard for like offensive players to work from behind the goal.
Mhm.
You know
Mhm.
how a lot of times in hockey now
Yeah.
they'll hang
Mhm.
out there and then they make that quick pass in front and just
One
a one
time,
timer
boom.
in. Yep.
Mhm.
And that was a huge change because now the scoring picked up because those offensive guys had more space to work in. There's other ones like the goalie used to come out and be able to play the puck
Mhm.
anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have that line they can't go, but
Mm-hmm.
then they have the little trapezoid deal that they
Mm-hmm.
have to play it in. It's their only space. And all that thinking, they shrunk the size of their goalie pads and that kind of stuff. So it's like ripping the band-aid off, right? The hockey people were pissed back then, but all of a sudden now games are like 5-4 and six to
Yeah, they're
three,
fun.
and
They're fun to watch. Hell yeah.
yeah. And then they the big one they used to have was like the two line pass. I don't know if you remember, if you
Yeah.
follow hockey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now they took that away. And oh my God, I remember watching hockey back when the two line, I didn't watch it that much, but I remember anytime, the announcers or you'd see it happen, it'd go over two lines. It was kind of like offsides. Barely did it get there. But now they take that stuff away. So you're like at the dots on your defensive end and some guy's breaking. You can hit them at the blue line, opposite you. And now you've got like a fast break one on
Mm-hmm.
one. Like it made the game so much better. And like, I don't know, maybe soccer is just so traditional with whatever. I know they have like the challenges for the offsides and the camera on the goal line and stuff, which helps scoring in the sense of if that stuff happens. But like, truly, the game hasn't changed. Again, traditionalists probably love the heck out of that. But my God, it's
Yeah. Well, I think
not
too, you have to understand,
exciting
like
to me.
you're dealing with a large field. Like, you know, a fast break, and if you turn it over in your own zone in soccer, but like, on the ice, these guys are in a much
Yes.
confined space,
Yes.
skating very quickly. So a fast break is a real fast break. How many times do you see a guy like in soccer dribble the ball down there and you think he's got, and then all of a sudden he gets the ball stolen, and then they kick the fucking ball the other way, and now I got to
Yeah.
wait fucking 12 more minutes for
Yeah.
some
Well, that's
action
the
to
other thing
happen.
too. Like I feel like one-on-one breaks in like soccer, right? Some guy launches one, he's on side, and the dude's, and all of a sudden the defender's fast enough. He just gets in his way. And what does that do? It allows
Oh,
everybody to get back.
mm-hmm,
And now maybe a cross comes in or whatever. It
mm-hmm.
just, I don't know. Obviously it's the most popular sport in the world. Like people love it. Like I'm just a detractor, a hater,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. And I've played it. Everyone seems to play it as a kid. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it playing it. Watching it's just way different. And even when you're talking about like the best players in the world, like people are fanatical about soccer and soccer players, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think
I
uh,
don't.
I think it probably has to do with because of the how long it's been popular for the people that do like it and the money it brings in. I don't dislike, my son plays soccer and I coach it, but
Yeah.
I'm coaching soccer as if I'm a baseball coach. I'm
Well,
just leading kids around, right, trying to do some
I feel
drills
like
and stuff like that.
the big turnoff besides, and I don't, maybe this still exists. I have to think it does because I don't pay attention. But the fact that a guy like gets his toe stepped on, and it's like his leg needs to be amputated
They bring the
is,
spray out, the spray.
God, just all that stuff. And then because maybe back in the 60s and 70s that was great. Now you have like 8K cameras, and the defender comes in, and it's
Doesn't even
like
touch them.
super slow mo, and he slides under him, and the guy jumps over him and clears him by 2 feet, and then he rolls like 20 feet after, claiming he broke his ankle, and it's like, dude didn't even get touched.
Tell Amy, tell Amy that SGA would be a hell of a soccer player. The guy
Yes.
they kept, especially when we talked about it that week, dude, he doesn't even get touched and he falls down. Like he creates the contact, even, and a lot of times there's no contact. And so it's funny that we brought that up when we were talking about flopping. This is maybe like a month ago now, 3 weeks ago.
No.
And then from that point on, I already knew it was happening. But it's funny, like it's like when you are driving around and you say, "Oh, I haven't seen a cyber truck in a while," and all of a sudden you see a fucking million of
Right.
them because you're
Yeah.
actually sort of looking for them. After we talked about that, I was sort of watching it like more closely, and I'm like, man, dude, like
Well,
it's really bad. Like some of this flopping stuff, and then that's, I think it's kind of funny. The soccer stuff's kind of funny because it happens so often. One real quick thing, they have that Champions League, it's called, which is like really important, like
Right.
Manchester City. I don't even know, like all that shit, right?
Right.
I have a Giants game on during the day about like 6, 8 weeks ago, and this kid comes in and he's like, "Hey, the Giants
Yeah.
playing the Padres. Let's just say, yeah, can you put it on the Champions League?" And I go, "Excuse me." Like I wasn't trying to be rude, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Champion.
we have 20 TVs. But like I hate to tell you, young man, but do you see these 3 or 4 TVs that are across the bar and the Giants are playing? Like
Yeah.
they're gonna stay on that game. Like, do you see that TV over there? Like over there?
Yeah.
You get your beer real quick and tell me what channel it's on, or let me look it up, and I'll gladly. But don't like we're not gonna
Yeah.
put the sound on. You know,
This is
we're
the
not gonna.
sacred space right here, guy.
Yeah,
We're in
yeah.
America.
I've had customers come in. I think it was a Warriors playoff game, and some lady came in, and our main TV's at Courts Lounge, the other place I work at on the weekends, and she wanted me to switch the NBA finals game or something. It was a playoff game or a finals game, and we had the sound on and everything, right, for Niners games. And if the Niners are playing in any game in a bar, the Niners sound should be on, not the jukebox.
Right.
Same with like, but not a regular season baseball game, not a regular season basketball game, but playoff games, yeah, 100%, right? That's what people are coming to watch. I had a lady come in and ask me if I could switch the playoff basketball Warriors game, which had the sound on at one of our main TVs, to the Dodger game, and I almost fucking lost it. Like I was like, and she got mad at me. I'm like, "You see that TV to the side there? Like the one that's like way over there? Like just turn your bar stool that way and go ahead
Right.
and look. Because these ones that are facing the bar here, you hear that sound? This is what we're watching. This is what 99.5% of the people that are in here are here to see, including your boy who follows this shit. Like, so
Right.
go." And there's a lady and she got all upset with me. And I'm like, "You do realize we're in Northern California. We're all Giants fans here. Sorry."
Yeah. What? Yeah. You're also the bartender. So that
Mm-hmm.
also means you control
Mm-hmm.
the situation. Last topic. D-Day. Get pretty serious here. D-Day. June 6th, 1944. Stormed the beach, Normandy, France. I'd like to get there before I die. I'd like to go specifically on like a World War II
Mm-hmm.
themed vacation. I don't know if it'd be like a cruise, like get off at different,
Yeah.
see everything. I know they have that stuff, but anyway, D-Day. So kids, right? Young kids were the ones jumping out of the boats and opening up the beach and whatnot. Do you think kids of today would be able to, one, get drafted like that and just go, and two, how do you think they'd feel about it and react? Kind of a deep, maybe tough question to answer, but I want to get your thoughts.
No, I mean, yeah, the short answer is not a chance, because we are in the era of soft ass people, uh, privileged people. I was talking to one of my coworkers who had to enlist. He's in his 60s, I believe, and I didn't realize this because you learn about it in school, but you don't really you sort of just get through the topic or the what you're talking about. You take a test on it and you sort of move on to the next, but you don't really dive into what exactly happened. I didn't really realize. He's like, "Yeah, you don't realize like people, if you didn't graduate high school, you enlisted, and nowadays it's a choice, which I don't know if that's
Right.
good and bad or different, but the type of people with the knowing that you had to go, uh, or you didn't have a choice to go. I think we live in a world now that's very protected by everyone else, and our youth, even in my 40, almost 44 years of living, I can only imagine how it looked. I can tell you how it looked 25 years ago to now. I can only imagine what it looked like 80 years ago or 78 years ago. The amount of toughness that would have been needed to have to be able to do something like that with the world that we live in today. So kudos to all
Do you
those
think,
people.
on that note, because that's where I kind of lean almost exactly, but like if you remember 9/11, the Pat Tillmans and
Yeah.
several
That's the first thing that came to my mind when
thousands
you
of
brought
other
this topic
people
up.
like went, when that happened and they were pissed off and wanted to fight for America and whatnot, you
Hmm.
know, and did that, brought the country together. We got to get those guys, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. If you, going back to what you're saying about being soft, all that other stuff, but if there was a conflict that demanded everyone's attention, not just the people that would have to go fight it, but the older individual like myself or older, whatever. Um, do you think that would change a little bit? Do you think if people were like, because I still think there's enough badass kids out there,
Oh, of
you know
course
what I
there
mean?
is.
Like
Sure.
I think what I think is what you're saying. I think it's true, but if you put some of these kids in that position where one, you have to go, two, you don't
Hmm.
even know like what you have, the primal instincts you have, you get proper training. Like I feel like there's enough people out there that could respond. I know there was so much loss, in
Hmm.
1944, so many people died during that whole entire conflict. I don't know if there's enough American boys, you know, that, the same amount. I know there's a lot that could. I just don't know if there's, if you're going to have that loss of life,
Sure.
that's what's tough. And that's, I mean, like you said, can you imagine like any of those conflicts? As a family member, that your son's going over there and probably not coming back. Oof.
Yeah, I
Oof.
mean, I think the difference then is you, when you were raising children in that era, I'm just guessing, you knew, right? You knew what was going to happen once they turned 17 or 18, where now it becomes more of a choice where you have like, you're a high school, you see the junior ROTC program, people walking around trying to get people, uh, you know,
Right.
knowledge about what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. I was
And
kind
it's
of crazy. No,
not make it.
to it's a little bit off topic, but I was able to, when I was younger, I played for a travel ball team. It was like an all-star team, and they had tryouts for people all over California, and they took five of the best people in Northern California to go play in Japan. And I got to go for 2 weeks. I made the team, and I was a 14-year-old. Went to Japan. My parents didn't go. We couldn't afford it. I had to legitimately raise every single dollar. It cost us like $2,500 at the time. But my point is, we got to go to Hiroshima
Oh wow.
and talk. I mean, it's crazy. You don't think like you would remember this kind of stuff, but at the time, I didn't really know exactly what that meant
Right.
until you go to like these exhibits and you're like, wow. I mean, I mean, it was essentially just gone, and they had like this big memorial. We walked through it all, and it's crazy now thinking 30 years, almost exactly 30 years later. It's something that I don't know if I'll ever go back to Japan. It was a more than the baseball itself, which was kind of neat, and being gone for 2 weeks
Right.
and seeing a bunch of different cities and going on a bullet train, like the Hiroshima thing, like it's something you will never forget. Like I was blown away, no pun intended. Like it was crazy, and it's crazy. You think as a 14-year-old dog, you probably don't even remember it when you're in your 40s and
Right.
you have children. It's something you don't forget, and
Well, and
that was,
I think that's part of kind of what you're saying. Like if I was a kid, this is just me, and I got asked to do that, whether I wanted to go or not, and I was forced to go. And I I think humans, I think you just, I don't know. I feel like I would rise up to the occasion, not necessarily being very good at combat or whatever my job was, but like the simple fact of like, I'm doing this for my country and I
mhm,
got all these, like a team, right?
mhm,
It's my brothers behind me and with me, in front of me, left and right of me. Like, let's go kick some ass. Like, I just think the moment, think of the D-Day moment where
mhm,
you're all knowing what you're gonna get yourself into as you're cruising up to the beach. The bullets hitting the boats as you're supposed to
mhm.
come right out of the gate, and you can't do that because the first wave of bodies is getting slaughtered in front of you. So you're jumping over the side with, 100 pounds of gear on you, and you're jumping in all that. Like, you're thinking about surviving, not like, oh, am I going to like this or is this going to suck? You know what I mean? Like, you got to figure out how to survive. And then when you get there, you got to do more shit to open the beach up to get everyone, and like, if you think deeply about what those guys did, and how valuable, the people that everybody, but especially the ones that made it through to get it open and get that thing cleared was it's unbelievable. It's like, I just don't, there's just nothing we'll ever see. And I feel like, future wars, if they're big like that, they're going to end with, like you said, like a big bang, and no, it's not going to be a ground combat like fight
it's all
thing.
nuclear missiles and fucking getting hit from places you don't see.
What's that famous saying?
Not hand-to-hand combat, right?
Yeah, they say that the fourth world war is going to be fought with like rocks and sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously, because there's nothing left of.
Well, if you put it into perspective, back in our day, I consider we grew up similar times, maybe 10 or so years different. And you see your middle school or high school, and two kids didn't like each other. They beat the shit out of each other, and they got suspended for a day or two, and they come back, and maybe they're friends, or it's over. Well, now with all the violence that we have and the stuff that we see on social media, we had Valley Fair Mall, which well, very nice place right across the street from Santana Row. They had like 2 shootings in 2 weeks. One of them there's a Valley Fair, to the people that are listening, is a very big mall, and it's gotten extended. It's so gigantic, I can't even go near it. It's just not my move. Anyway, they have like self-standing building. Like, there's like a Bank of America that's in the parking lot. There's a couple other businesses that are surrounding that you can park at only if you're going to the bank per se. Well, these 2 people were fighting over a parking spot at the Bank of America, trying to go inside Valley Fair Mall, and then one opened fire on the other car. Like, whatever, my point is, like, whatever happened to the fist fighting and beating the shit out of each other, knowing that you're both probably wrong in some sort of way, or like me, like I would never let it get to that point over a parking spot. It's not that important to me. I don't put myself in those situations because I just know that kind of stuff is out there. Like, it's just not worth it. A lot of times I have my son with me, and so I just think our world is so effed up. Now you get kids, there's always stabbings.
Well, it's different too. I think that imagine too, like the people that came back from World War II, just really any live combat scenarios, because I knew a couple former players of mine that fought in like Iraq and stuff, and it's like, I think they see the world differently. Like you said, I don't think they'd put themselves in that situation, because it's like, I just went over and fought these guys that were trying to kill me, and you're fighting me for a parking spot. Like, go ahead and take it. It's not a big deal. Like, okay, I'll go take another one. Like, if it's such a whatever, I get you. I just think it's a mindset. And like I said, I think I think more kids don't understand themselves, and they probably would think they couldn't do it, but put in a situation with some training, you're just I read somewhere, I forget where it was, that I don't know if it was World War II. I can't remember what battle, but there's these guys that were jumping out of airplanes doing something. I forget what their job was, if they were fighting or just supplies or whatever. But the story of these guys was that it was like, some of them, it was the first time they got in a plane ever. And then they went up and jumped out of it with a parachute. Like, that's something.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do. Like, how do you? I mean, they must.
I think the difference is they
real strong.
know they know they had to. I mean,
Well,
there
and you don't
wasn't
get the
there
choice.
wasn't
Like,
an option.
you're either
There's no
going to get
option.
killed on
So
the ground by your sergeant, or you're going to
uh-huh.
die falling out of this plane and forgetting
Mhm.
to. But can you imagine going up? Like, they just tell you maybe as you're getting on the plane, oh, by the way, put this on, and when everybody else does, pull this cord,
And
and then just see what happens after that, and we'll see you down there.
we'll see you down there on the ground,
We'll see you
boys.
later. Let's go. Let's all go together. Yeah, crazy stuff. But let's wrap it up for this week. Yeah, June 6th, summertime, lots of rest coming up for both of us. But all you listeners out there and viewers, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on all the socials. And Cruz, you have a good week, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
Peace.